Hey folks, Rob here bringing another unboxing. So this time we have Doomed Battalions. It just showed up in my hot little hands and we're going to be unboxing this. Now this is the 4th edition version, Allied Miners. This is going to complete the last core module, I believe. I'll have to confirm, but I'm pretty sure this is going to be the last box I'm missing. After this, strictly the hassles I have to get a hold of, so hopefully MMP start reprinting those. And I can start fleshing that out. So it looks like I might be needing some more Rayco containers to hold these guys here, because it looks like we're going to have another 4 counter sheets of units to put in with the Allied Miners. So let's see what's inside. Alrighty, so what we're looking at here is the front cover, another interesting painting. No idea what the tank is, but that is definitely an interesting tank model. One of those restricted traverse kind of tanks, no doubt. Alright, so here we have a good old 2-inch box. This is module number 11A. And as we said earlier, it's 4th edition, so let's look at the back. Typical information and teasing of the counters. We have 5 geoboards on here, 9, 11, 33, 44, and 45. 3 sheets of overlays, 4 counter sheets, and 32 A-cell scenarios. And then there's 4 sets of different pages that would go in the binder, including some dividers as well. All right, first up we have the content card that comes with the box. Gives us the contact information, and then again a summarization of what I just repeated on the back of the box of what it contains. So here we have various page updates for the 3-ring binder. You're going to get most of this in the electronic rulebook, which has all been updated. So mostly it's going to be updating things like, well, anything that has a black dot. So you can see here it's got the Twilight of the Reich updates with the new assault engineers as well as late war SS. And of course, because we have the Allied Miners, we're probably going to see information on there as well. Yeah, right here, Allied Miners. To complete up to Chapter A. And then, of course, we have some more B information. Including debris. They're bringing debris into the core rules, as well as, because it came out originally in the hassles, and now it's part of the core. Of course, we got the vehicle notes for the various Allied Miners. We got Polish, we got Belgian, Danish, and Dutch, with Yugoslav as well. And then we get into the ordnance for the same miners. This is the compilation of people that worked on this module. Good to see it got a lot of testing, scenario design. Got 6-7 people in there. That's good. Playtest group coordinators are a lot, so it looks like this got a lot of replay of the scenarios. I'm not sure the scenarios, whether or not they're redos or they're brand new. We'll look at those next. All right, first up we have scenario number 43, Into the Fray. Looks like we're going to have some cavalry action. Early War 1939. Again, I'm going to be blanking out the orders of battle so that you guys are forced to buy the module. I don't want to deny MMP of their money. I only have 2 SSRs, 7 turns, and 2 of the boards. '44, we have the Gauntlet. 9 turns this time, 2 boards, and we're looking at 18 troops attacking a dozen Germans. 437 green squads versus 548, so that should be interesting. Norwegians and Germans going at it toe to toe. Revenge at Castelli. 3 boards, 10 turns, and would look like 23 Greek squads versus 12 548s. One thing I'm noticing, they're on nice thick cardstock, which you like to see, so they're not really fragile. So it's taking me a while to flip them over because, again, the cardstock is so thick. Birds of Prey, fairly small unit numbers. We got 16 Belgians versus 9 Germans. 3 boards, 9.5 turns. And looks like it's going to be about bridge control. Belgians, a lead in first line, have assault fire capability. So looks like it's going to be overwhelming for the Belgian. I wonder what the scenario archive stats are on this one. 9 Germans, although they are 9 elite Germans versus 16 elite Belgians. Interesting. Rude Awakening. We have 3 boards, 7 turns. And again, cavalry versus armored and motorcycles. Scenario number 48, not even going to attempt to pronounce that French name. This is going to be in Belgium, and we have 7.5 turns with 2 boards, with 14 squads defending against 19 Germans. These are Elite 468s coming in, and it's a comparable force, so it's quite large unit counts, so it should be good. Again, I'm not sure what the balance says for who, what the win-loss ratio is. And we have civilian interrogation in effect. Nice. Well, Belgians get to use HIP for 3 squad equivalents. And the victory conditions say at game end if there are no Belgian personnel within 4 hexes of 2U3. Now, that means they're going to have to do a fair bit of building clearance to make sure that there's no HIP unit in any of the ones. So it's going to be, that could be interesting. Could be interesting. Number 49, Piercing the Peel. 7 turns, we have 2 boards, and this time there are 16 Germans attacking 10 Dutch squads who are entrenched. We have pillboxes, fortifications, and the Germans get a couple of flamethrowers. Number 50, Age-Old Foes. 8 turns. We have Russians versus Poles. Russians are on the defense. The Poles attacking. That's good to see. And we have 19 Polish squads versus a total of 20 Russians. And the Russians come up in 3 phases. We have turn 2 weak armor coming in. And then turn 4, the Russians get another 8 squads. So for a total of 20. And it looks like the Poles are primarily a mixture of cavalry and wagons. Nice. Never used wagons in a game. I suspect the Russians probably have the win-loss ratio on this one. Yeah, once the Russians get that heavy machine gun going with the coaxes from the guns, cavalry will probably start melting away. Imagine that. Well, I'm not sure how close the Polish cavalry will be to charging into the Russians, but they are 447s. So. Uncommon occurrence number 83. We have 3 boards, 6 turns, and this is all armor. So if anybody's interested in those kind of stuff, I noticed somebody on my Discord was talking about a lot of vehicle combats. This is one, and looks like it is 10 vehicles for the Germans defending against 9 Polish armored vehicles. And fighting over the 3 boards. Nice. Germans win a game in by amassing 10 or more VP than the Poles do. And we have armor leaders for both sides. Very nice. Early war armor battles. Round 1, number 84. boards 20 and 45, 7 turns. So you only use half of the boards. And large numbers of units for the Poles who are defending against the attacking Germans. We're looking at a lot of fortifications and guns on the Polish side, including 13 squads. And then on the German, we have 17 squads attacking with a lot of armor and some armored cars as well. Engineer assets included. This is like a fun one. 20 is a city board, if I remember correctly. I'm not sure about 45. It's one of the ones that come in the set. It might be a city one, I'm not sure. But looks to be urban fighting. Might be interesting to play. Then we have number 85, No Way Out. Uses half of board 42, 7 turns. Smaller unit count. You're only going to have 9 Germans with some armor and fortifications, defending against 16 Poles who have 4 weak armor at their beck and call. Germans have a 37 long AT gun, which I imagine will have no problem defeating the 1 armored weak tankettes that the Poles have. Number 86, Fighting Back. 3 boards, 10 turns. That's a lengthy game. Germans defending once more. Poles are on the assault. And the Poles have a mixture of elite first and green squads for a total of 20 with some armored support. And they also have another 6 first lines coming in with mortar armor on turn 4. Germans, for their part, have 12 squads with 2 guns and some support weapons. So and the Pole elite and first line have assault fire capability. Very nice. Goodnight Sweet Prince, number 87, 2 half boards, 7.5 turns. Very low squad count for both sides. You're only looking at 12 for the Germans who are attacking, and the Danish only have, what, 6 squads with a couple of guns. Number 88, Art Nouveau, uses 2 half boards butted up against each other, and we are 8.5 turns with a lot of reinforcements coming in for the Germans. They have enter on turn 1, 2, and 4. Low numbers for the Belgians who are on the defense. You have a total of 7 squads, and they are all in different setup locations with pillboxes, roadblocks, and a couple of armored units. Whereas the Germans have 12 squads mounted on bicycles coming in, and motorcycles coming in, and they have some armor rolling in as well on turn 4. This has a very interesting SSR number 2. Prior to setup, the Belgian player determines his final OB by openly selecting 3 cards from a deck comprised of 5 red and 5 black. Each red requires the Belgian player to delete 1 counter from his initial OB, while a black draw allows a player to choose 1 additional counter from the additional force pool to his initial OB. So right here we have our units broken up for the Belgians into 4 groups, and the bottom group here is consisting of a squad, a leader, a medium, and or 2 tanks. So you could augment your weak force with one of those randomly chosen. So a little bit of replayability and a little bit of randomness thrown in. So interesting. Then we have number 89, Rescue Attempt. This one's got a lot of overlays, and it uses up to map boards, 8 turns long. Variable mix of units for the Belgians, and the German is all infantry. Whereas the Belgians are a mixture of tanks and infantry coming in waves. And the Germans are coming in variable turns as well, on turns 1, 2, and turn 3. 90, Pride and Joy. We have Italians versus Greeks. This should be interesting. 3 full boards, 10 turns, nice and lengthy, and plenty of squads. We're looking at, 23 squads for the Italians, mixture of elite and first line. And then, and they're in the defense. And attacking them, looks like we have 24 Greek allied miners, elites, and first line, augmented with some armored vehicles, including towing some artillery pieces, and mounted on horses as well. So Greek cavalry fighting off entrenched Italians. Very nice. And the Greek armored crews are inexperienced as well. 137, Italian Brothers. Italians once more on the defense. These are nationalist versus Republican Italians. And interesting, so they're fighting each other. So we have 2 half boards, 6 turns. Small little scenario. 18 units for the nationalist, defending against 14 coming in from the Republican side. Really early 1937 action in Spain. So part of the Spanish Civil War, the 2 opposing sides of fighting each other. Interesting, very interesting. This might be something that we could try there, Dave. Rattle of Sabers, number 138, 2 boards, 7 turns. Poles are setting up a defense, Germans on the assault. 2 September 1939 is the action, so right at the beginning of conflict. And this time it's the Germans that are on cavalry on horse. 15 cavalry units, 548s, coming up against about 10 Polish squads, also mounted on horses. And then they get another 4 coming on as reinforcements on turn 2. So we're having 14 cavalry units versus 15, duking it out on the plains. Very interesting. A little cavalry on cavalry action. We have 139, the weigh-in. 2 boards. We have some overlays on board 44. It looks like it's 4. And we have, again, a mixture of infantry, tanks, guns, and fortifications for the Poles. Germans, for their part, have infantry and armor with, looks like an armored car or 2 in the mix. And some half-tracks as well. And we use the 548 assault engineers for the Germans. This is another one I think we might try, Dave. Looks really interesting. Again, a mix of units, so it's a lot of toys to play with. ELR is only 2 for the Poles, which sucks. And their broken morale probably is not going to be improved any. But dealing with the unit numbers and the guns and the vehicles, that kind of variability sometimes goes a long way for the compensate for the low ELR. Scenario 140, round 2. We have Poles in defense once more against the Germans. And this time we're looking at a total of, 15 Poles versus almost, 16 German squads with a shitload of armor, armored cars, and support weapons, including OBA. This one has a lot of SSRs that are condensed in a lot of information here. Oh, and the Germans also get air support as well. 150 OBA. Wow. That's going to hurt. Board 46 with 4 overlays. So that's probably a city board, I assume. And yeah, the victory conditions include either CVP or control of buildings. SS 548-468-248 SS units. Then we have 141 action at Belberkamp. That is 5 map boards, so that's not going to happen, I don't think, unless we do it vassal. Just too big for the table that we use. And this one is 10 turns, then it restarts on turn 1, so it's actually 12 and a half turns. Quite a lengthy scenario. Unit count is quite large, looking at 24 allied setup, including British and Norwegians, versus 27 German squads with some armored units in support. So quite a large action over the 5 boards. Yeah. Number 142 on the road to Andalsnes. And we have 2 boards. We have 11 turns, another large one. This is Norwegians defending against Germans. We're back to normal troop counts. We have 14 Norwegians versus 16 first line Germans. Nothing fancy about this one, only 2 SSRs. The Germans have 6 transport wagons. And they enter from off-board. Norwegians do not get any bore sighting. Fairly simple. The Germans just have to exit off the one edge. Grab end number 143, half of 1 board with looks to be 2 overlays. 10 Dutch squads versus 10 German squads. Now the Dutch are a mixture of first line and green, whereas the Germans have first line and second line. Now they're augmented by 2 armored cars, so the Germans have a very slight edge in terms of numbers and or quality, but it's probably very closely balanced, so I'm not sure what the win-loss ratio is for this one, but they're very evenly balanced. .144, the professionals, 3 boards, 9 turns. We have 10 Yugoslavian squads versus 8 attacking German squads who once more have armor on their side. They got 4 early war tanks as well as 2 half-tracks to augment. With the Yugoslavs having MOL capability. And then we have 307 Maxek Fire Brigade, 2 boards with a couple overlays on board 17, 5.5 turns, nice and doable. Short little tournament scenario size. We have Poles defending against Germans once more. This is 9 squads, and the Poles have a bunch of armor on their side as well. And the Germans, for their part, have once more lots of armor, and they're mounted on motorcycles, and they have 10 squads. All these scenarios with the Poles seem to have the elite and first line squads having assault fire capability. Number 308, riding the coattails, most of a 1 board, 5.5 turns, and it's 8 Polish squads versus 12 Slovakians, so minor on minor. And the Poles are a mixture of first and green versus first line 347s. So it's advantage to the Poles who are in defense, I would think. And neither side can reject surrender nor conduct massacre. So nice genteel warfare. Will to Fight Eradicated, number 309, uses the center half of board 12. And we have, looks to be 5 overlays. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 overlays. 7 overlays, wow. Germans are all over the place. They have 3 different groups coming in for a total of 13, 14 squads. And the Poles who are attacking have, for their part, 15 squads. Well, 16 squad equivalents. We can use hand-to-hand. Again, Polish leading first line have assault fire. Seven turns, eh? Poles win a game in, provided the Germans have amassed 26 VP or less, and each building controlled is worth a number of VP equal to the number of locations it contains. Wow. I don't know what board 12 looks like, but it must be interesting. Number 310, Polish Requiem. We have 2 boards with 2 overlays. Boards 1 and 4, we have 6 turns. Small numbers, we're only looking at a total of 11 squads for the Poles in defense, though they do have a couple of weak armored tanks. Well, several actually. They have 8 tanks, but they're all max armors of 1, maybe a 2 for the up armored turrets. And the Germans who are on the assault are attacking with 9 elite and first line squads. And for their part, they also have 7 tanks as well. And then we have Voigt's Ritterkreuz with 2 half boards in a weird orientation with 3 overlays, 6.5 turns. And we have smaller unit counts. This time we only have 8 Dutch versus 11 SS. And they are augmented with a couple armored cars, the Germans. I imagine the Dutch will probably find this one hard to do, but again, I'm not sure what the boards look like. I believe 7 is the river board. Stingham at Zingham, number 312. And here we have Belgians in defense versus Germans. Small unit counts, we have 5, 6, 7, 8 Belgians with a couple of light armored tanks versus 10 Germans, elite and first line. And they have a mixture of stuff, an armored half-track, as well as an armored car and a troop transport half-track. Airborne Samurai, so we're going to PTO. Here we have the Dutch setting up first, and then the Japanese parachuting in. I saw this one played online. I can't remember who played it, but it was available online. I don't know if it was Illuminating Rounds, it might have been. But 313 is Airborne Samurai. 2 boards, has the Japanese coming in with paradrop. And they also get air support, so quite interesting scenario looks like. This might be something we might want to try at some point, Dave, if we dabble with PTO again. Except the problem with paradrop is that the variability of landing, and because these guys are Japanese, they don't have steerable chutes, I don't believe, so it's going to be a little bit more random, I think. I'm not sure about the steerable chutes. I might be misspoke, but we'll have to check on that. Lastly, we have Defeat in Java, number 314. Uses most of 3 boards, 7.5 turns, and Japanese on the defense, while this time Allied are attacking, and this includes Dutch and some British. 24 British Dutch with 6 weak armored tanks versus 15 Japanese entrenched in. Well, they're not dug in, but they also have a couple of guns. This is in Java in 1942. So again, I'm not sure what the boards look like, but PTO terrain is in effect. So light jungle is in existence. All right, we have a couple dividers that come with it. First of all, we have the national capabilities chart. Look at the length of this little puppy. You almost think this is overkill, and I'm sure there's going to be more added as we get to it. Look how big the Germans are. The Americans are also ginormous because they have the 2 theaters. The Germans only in the 1 theater. But you can tell that it's going to get quickly, the more, it's going to get longer. We still got a couple of inches of space down here to add more nationalities. So keep it coming, guys. On the flip side, we have the OBA player aid. Very handy for those of you guys that are struggling with OBA. It's a flowchart, and you cannot go wrong if you're trying to understand how to work your OBA. Very important table to use. This is also mimicked in Vassal. There's an OBA flowchart which walks you through step by step, right from placing your spotting round, radio contact, all the way to resolving your FFEs. Very handy. Then we have the Chapter B divider, which has the expanded terrain list. And looks like we have, yeah, we do have the included debris, as well as prepared fire zones and light woods. And then on the back, we have all the Chapter B pertinent tables, what happens on various die rolls, what happens with your smoke when it comes off and when it changes, as well as wind and various other things. All right, first up, let's look at the counter sheets. So this is number 4 of 4, and we have a mixture of Russian and Allied minor sheets. Check the registration there. You can see it's nice clean lines. So this is all guns and our light armored vehicles and trucks. Sheet number 3, we have more of the same. And we have a couple of replacement Axis minor vehicles. Yeah, I'm not sure what was wrong with the counters in the Axis miners, but you have 3 replacement vehicles for the for them as well. So again, check the registration. No bleeding over, that's nice to see. Good quality. Well done, guys. Yeah, this one's all mostly armor. You do have your concealment counters and your sniper for your Allied miners. All right, here we have more SS because you can never have enough, apparently. Those will not be clipped by me. I already have the Twilight of the Reich SS I still have to clip, so let's leave those where they are. This one's got the Allied minor leaders as well as support weapons, and we have some replacement assault engineers for Twilight of the Reich. Again, I'm not sure why these required replacement. You have 12 engineer squads. It might have to do with the underlined morale. I'm not sure why they reprinted those, but they did regardless. I haven't clipped my Twilight of the Reich yet, anyways, so looks like I won't have to worry about those in that box. I do love these new counter sheets. They've really come a long way from what they used to be. And lastly, we have sheet number 1. This is all infantry. We can see that we have a little Polish counter symbol on the top left of some of the units. And you can see the assault fire is underlined on the squads for the Poles. All right, let's look at some map boards. So first up, we have 45. Nice, clean, large, multi-hex, 2.5-story buildings. So these all have second levels by and large, with a couple of 2 stories as well. Board 44, we have some farmland territory. We have 2 houses, and the rest of it is just wide open killing fields. I would hate to cross all this territory, but unfortunately it's going to have to get crossed by some poor bastard. It's a good one for armored assault. One of my favorite tactics is armored assault. So, all right, more farmland. We have a ginormous wheat field, and then we have orchards. So this board is interesting. I'd hate to play this board out of season. Anytime outside of April through September, I would hate to play this board. That would just be murder and death coming across you. We have another hill board. We only have level 1 hills with lots of grain and lots of block lines of sight. This one's not too bad. Hard to set up good fields of fire, however. But you do have some height advantage setting up on the hills, depending which way the attack is coming. Then lastly, we have a monster hill board, number 9. Winding switchback roads that meander all the way through the map. I don't think I've ever seen board 9. This is it. 3 huge hill masses. We have a little chateau on top of one of the largest ones. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, level 4 hill with a chateau on top of it. All right, last up we have 3 sheets of overlays. Every one of them has railways on them, and we have a couple of unique buildings, including a very unique 3-hex multi-level church with its own cemetery. And we have several row houses, one which has a church in the center of it. That's kind of interesting, as well as a couple other buildings and more orchard open areas as well. Dave and I played a scenario, and we realized we're missing this one overlay. We couldn't find it, so we had to use our imaginations while we played that scenario. We never had the module at the time, and we tried to play the one scenario without this overlay. So unfortunately, a lot of the scenarios, even the ones that don't come with the module, sometimes use these kinds of overlays, and that's where Vassal comes in handy, but less so if you're playing them face to face. And there we have Doomed Battalions. So you saw what's inside it. We had 4 counter sheets. We had 5 map boards. Some extra rule pages updated now. And the counter sheets did have some replacement counters from Twilight of the Reich as well. So it's good to see that they're catching their mistakes and replacing them when required. It's unfortunate that those mistakes made it through in the first place, but mistakes do happen. So at least they're taking steps. 4th edition Doomed Battalions. Allied miners are now in the house, and it looks like I've got more clipping to do. I still got my Twilight the right ones to do. I'm going to have to get my Rayco containers back from Dave so I can start filling them up again and get into it. Quite pricey, but everything is pricey these days. I live in Canada. Shipping's exorbitant, and I can't imagine what Pwnry is going to cost me once I get that in my hand. I've already pre-ordered it, so hopefully that comes to print soon. And again, from MMP directly, I'm not sure what that's going to be. It'd be nice to have Ritter Krieg type shipping here, but we don't have that. I got this from Tad Night Games, by the way. So if you're in Canada and you want more gaming, Tad Night Games is an online supplier. He's based out of Kingston and is quite reasonable. Nice chap, Peter. If you're seeing this, thank you very much for sending this. I would definitely go through him if you're in Canada. He makes frequent trips to the States. He's got quite a good selection, but it's still going to be pricey. There's just no way around it. He has a GTS Utah. I think it's Utah for like $450, and that's after the conversion from whatever MMP charge. It was like 300 something, so it's ridiculous. But it's what we pay for our hobby. So if you're a completionist, you need the Allied miners, and because you want to play all those different sides. Yeah, well worth the buy, I think. And I'm glad I added this to my collection. So that's enough babble from me. We'll see you guys next video. Bye-bye.